Meet Leena, president of the Finnish crime fiction aficionado Whodunit Society. Well, Finns love some crime-solving content. Why? What does it say about Finnish culture that this is so popular?
In general, Finns read a lot. We are on the top list of the library use per capita.
Perhaps because the weather is so inhospitable, you spend more time in the library and you pick up more crime novels.
Maybe.
I don't know, I'm just going off here. Is there a difference between Finnish crime fiction and, say, American crime fiction?
Most of our crime fiction novels are police procedural novels. We have only few private investigators as protagonists.
So it's not like the guy who kills 50 people and makes lampshades out of their skin. It's rather, guy walks in and sees his wife with another man, kills him and tries to cover it up.
If a Finnish writer would write about that, he or she would get response that it's not plausible in Finland.
Leena leads me to the site of a famous fictional murder mystery. Right here, an old man with a telescope witnesses a murder, blackmails the murderer, and gets killed himself. As the president of the Whodunit Society, you've read hundreds of crime novels, right?
Yes, I have.
If you wanted to kill me in this park, do you think you could get away with it?
No, I couldn't.
But have you thought about it before? If I were to kill somebody, this is how I would do it?
No.
But we all have these morbid tendencies now and then. Or is it just me?
Well, sometimes, in a bad day, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't totally disagree with you.
Right. I leave the pleasant company of Leena, for I have a brilliant plan to head to the islands and track a much more fascinating and ancient killer. Turku is the oldest town in Finland, known for its riverside social scene, an expansive maritime museum, and a majestic castle. In the central market, you can grab some Karelian pies for a light snack, or snag something sweeter at the country's best bakery. Sea buckthorn berry cheesecake? Yes, ma'am.
What do you like?
Sweet Lord in heaven. It's kind of like a cross between a berry and an apricot.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or am I just tripping? No. That's fantastic. Anything with berries in it is worth consuming in Finland. Finns are avid foragers. The forests are abundant with all kinds of wild herbs, mushrooms, and edible flowers. But them berries, blueberries, strawberries, cloudberries, all growing wild. And by law, you can pick them anywhere you want. With my belly full of bread and pastry, I walk over to Turku's cathedral, whose clock tower pokes up out of the sea of trees like a curious periscope to gaze over the township. This here is one lucky church. It survived 20 of 30 great fires that ravaged Turku, and it lived through 6 wars. Perhaps it's all that soul power that pushed the flames and the bombs away, considering there are about 4,000 bodies buried underneath it, including one of a rags-to-riches, Cinderella-like Swedish queen. Let's go inside and see if there are any nuggets to be found. The air inside the vaulted ceilings is cool and still. A lazy organist waits for closing time. Yeah, buried amongst all these very typical church frescoes is a really interesting one. Here you have the King of Sweden and Bishop Henry baptizing the pagan Finns in 1155. Now think about that. Constantine made Christianity the religion of the Roman Empire in the 4th century. That's a long stretch of time until it came to the Finnish people, and it says something about them today, how it's a young country, how it's a largely rational, agnostic, atheist country, and why it was so heavily influenced by Sweden and Russia. Contrasting sharply from the solemn church with the horrible music is a lively bar scene in Turku. They are going pub crazy over here. There's one in an old schoolhouse, one that was an old pharmacy, and one an old public toilet. What's all the hullabaloo about? Kiitos. Finland, like the United States of America, had prohibition. But when it ended, it wasn't a clean break. Like, it's over, free market for everybody. In fact, you could say they're still sort of coming out of it. When the 1952 Olympics came around, they had a little bit of a dilemma. They knew there would be a huge international clientele that would want them some booze. What to do? So the state-controlled, monopolistic retailer of alcohol came up with a solution. They would provide 2 drinks for all these foreign visitors. One was gin and grapefruit, and the other was brandy-based. The brandy one has since fallen off and disappeared into the realm of history's ash pile. But the grapefruit-based one is still around. And it's not too shabby on a summer day. But wait. The principal reason I came to Turku, however, was not to eat cake and drink brandy cocktails. Not even to try out for the archer job at the castle, which is not as easy as you think. I have another purpose. Just a minute and My purpose. I'm in the Turku Archipelago, a series of 25,000 islands that join tens of thousands more which stretch over to Sweden. When I was researching Finland, I heard about a mythical creature called a Naaki, which is kind of a cross between a mermaid and a Japanese kappa. Lurking in the water, this sinister beast could snatch you from the edge and pull you into your demise. I got all giddy and I called up Visit Finland. The response I got was a little quizzical. So instead, I opted for a fish of a more reasonable catch. Big pike. But it turns out there is a true life, fascinating story from these very waters. As World War II wound down, the Soviets were trying to flush Nazi soldiers out of Northern Europe. Germans were posted up on the Estonian island of Hiiumaa. But with magnetic mines and shallow waterways, they needed the help of smaller wooden Finnish cargo and fishing boats to transport their troops over. Operation Pinatova was born. By the time you get to Turku, there may be more stories to cover. There could even be more islands. On my way out of Turku, I stop at the small scenic town of Rauma, famous for an old quarter made of wood, which escaped the fires that ravished Turku. But there is a mystery here that links the two cities. Can you figure it out? While Turku adds islands to its archipelago, Rauma is slowly losing what it holds dear. Take this fantastic maritime museum. So much effort to honor the ocean trade, but the sea is receding away from it, like a lover overwhelmed with too much affection. Take this meandering little creek, quite romantic. But back in the 16th century, this was a navigable river. Pretty soon, it won't be here at all. The reason is this: post-glacier rebound. The massive ice shelf that covered Finland compressed the land like a sponge. Now that the ice has melted, the ground is expanding back to its fluffy form, which is adding islands to Turku, but taking rivers and sea away from poor little Rauma.